Hello girlies, and welcome back to another market blog. Hi you guys, if you're new here, my name is Taylor. I'm the founder and designer of NYGC by Taylor, or Not Your Grandma's Crochet, and we are in fact doing my third market ever as a crochet artist. I very much so have weird energy today. Today's 404 day here in Atlanta, and me and my friends did in fact celebrate that. Support your local Atlanta businesses or local businesses wherever you're at. Anywho, it's currently like 9:25 and I not only have one market this weekend, but I actually have two, Saturday and Sunday, 1 to 4 at the same place. And let's sit down so I can tell you the amazing story of how it all came to be. If I'm being 100% honest, I really had no plans on doing any markets this month. 404 day, it's April 4th, so for the month of April I was kind of like I did 2 markets in March, my first 2 markets ever. My first market went well, you can watch the video. My second market did not go well at all, and I was really going to be paying for the markets with the profits that I made from the previous market. So when I didn't make anything from the second market, I was like, well, I don't have capital to spend on a market for the month of April, and I was just going to focus on working on my summer collection, something that I felt pretty comfortable with, just because while the accessories I'm fine with on my table, I definitely want to bring more clothing that are more up to my current style. The pieces that I have on my rack besides my cardigans are all samples from previous years, samples that I'm proud of for sure, but not quite my current aesthetic, if you get what I mean. So yeah, I was wanting to ensure that the next market I actually paid for, I was able to bring more of the clothing pieces that actually represent my current aesthetic. That being said, I do truly enjoy the market experience. While my second one was not the ideal experience by any means, I definitely still enjoyed being out there. I enjoyed getting to talk to people IRL. I did actually end up, making a good connection from that market, so it wasn't a complete waste. I have, technically speaking, made money because of that market. I just didn't make any money from that market, if you get what I mean. I periodically within the past few weeks have been looking at potential markets, especially with it now being spring and people now being a bit more out and about. I was still keeping my eyes and ears open for potential opportunities, as well as seeing if there were any opportunities that I could create myself, ways that I could just pop up at popular places in Atlanta. I'm definitely a bit more introverted for all of that, so the idea of like setting up somewhere and then having someone be like, excuse me, you can't do that, I think I would actually die in a hole. To people who are confident enough to do stuff like that, slay. Me, not so much. So I was looking for various market opportunities, trying to see if, let's say, I decide to just save my money for the majority of April, but then, do one single market towards the end of the month. But at the same time, I was like, theoretically, people would have more money to spend at the beginning of the month, so it would make more sense for me to try to do this first weekend of April, when people have a bit more income allocated towards spending and, so on and so forth. The issue was the vendors that I was going through are one of the most fair price vendors that I've come across. I've mentioned in past videos, but they do their pricing in tiers. So if you're like in the early bird tier, prices are usually between like 55 on the low end and 75 on the high end. And if you're on tier 3 or you buy in tier 3, then the prices are more like 80 to 95, even maybe 100. Definitely up there, but considering what I'm about to tell you, not too bad. For other places, the starting price was 100 banditos, 150 banditos, 250 banditos. Miss NYGC does not have the capital for that. So I was like, And this was with me looking at like, more markets similar to what I did, craft fairs, things like that. Just me being in a major city, obviously people are profiting or, you know, capitalizing off the fact that there is more opportunity for foot traffic. So as a vending service, you can charge more to have vendors at a place, because for the most part, there are going to be people around and about wherever you're able to have, like, you know, vendors and stuff like that. So I definitely understand, but it's just out of my personal budget. Now, that being said, on yesterday, oh my god, that was literally yesterday morning, Thursday morning, I was just on Instagram on my personal page, and I've been getting a lot of ads for both like jobs and the different vending opportunities, because those are two things I'm currently looking for. Mostly on my, well, jobs on my personal, and vending opportunities on my business page. So anyways, I see an opportunity for a new food hall that I've driven past quite a few times, and it's actually quite cute. It's not in the most walkable area, however, because it is a food hall, theoretically people would be coming to it. Like I said, it's very cute. I've seen that they do have good marketing, and they're advertising that they're going to start doing vendors on every Saturday and Sunday until November 5th, which I was like, and previous to this, I was kind of thinking in my head, like, I need a golden goose opportunity. Like, I need an opportunity that will, one, allow me to like be there pretty consistently, like for the most part, when I'm available, I know that that's an option. Number two, be very affordable, so that if, you know, I don't get any sales, if there's even barely any people, I don't feel like I've wasted anything. I don't feel like I would feel like I wasted my time if there were no people, but I would feel very bad about wasting money, you know? So something that was affordable, something that was pretty consistent, and like theoretically me paying for it once meant that I had access to it for a little bit of time, and something that was very small business, handcrafted, handmade. I cannot lie, I literally yapped so hard I lost the plot, ran out of storage, and yeah, I'm tired of talking. But essentially, I ended up finding my literal golden goose egg. I got an ad on my Instagram for this food hall that was accepting vendors. They didn't have any pricing, but they were accepting applications. So I was like, slay. And I saw that they were doing a market this weekend, which I was like, super slay. So I sent in an application. I kind of forgot that I sent the application because yesterday, was that yesterday? Yeah, yesterday was an interesting day. But in the afternoon, I got an email back from a person over vending, and not only were they accepting new vendors, for this weekend, not only is this event Saturday and Sunday every single weekend until November 5th, but it's free. A 10 by 10 space, no tent necessary, for free. At a place that actually does good marketing. Now, like I said, not very walkable, so there's not too much foot traffic, but it is in fact a food hall at the end of the day, so there should be some sort of traffic, and even if there's zero traffic, it's free. So, ecstatic is not even the word. I am so beyond feeling blessed and excited for what this opportunity could be. I really love the fact that I, you know, put in all the dates that I wanted to do for this month, and I was asking her like what the process would be to put in dates for other months, and she was like, literally just email me. And I was like, do you know what a blessing that is? Like, free. And that doesn't mean I can't do other markets, you know? It does mean that I don't have to expend any capital if I want to do a market on a weekend. On a Saturday and a Sunday for a 10 by 10 space. And I don't have to fill that full 10 by 10 space, but the fact that I have the option of a 10 by 10 space. So yeah, literally insane opportunity, and I'm feeling very thankful and grateful for it. I am currently still, like, my main focus production wise is definitely my spring summer collection, which I literally didn't work on at all today because today was actually quite crazy and I wasn't really home. But while I was out, I did get started on a market bag. I initially planned to like get a good bit of it done tonight, but I'm honestly feeling quite tired and I've been waking up pretty early, so I think I will see you girly pops in the morning. We'll see what I can get done. I have to be at the market to start setting up at about 11:30, but I need to swing by my storage unit to pick up a bigger table because I think I want to expand my current setup, because my current setup is for like a 6x6 situation, and if I can go as big as a 10x10 while I don't have nearly enough product nor even table to do a 10x10, I don't believe. I do want to at least be able to spread out some of my crochet accessories a bit more. I will be bringing this bag with me in the morning, but we'll see what I can get done. Anywho, it is bedtime. It's 9:53, so see you in the morning. Good morning. It's quite early. It's currently 8:27. I had a okay night of sleep considering how hot it was. But now the AC is on, so that shouldn't be a problem for tonight. I am very much so glad that I did not, are these lines going to annoy you? I kind of think they're cute. Anyways, I'm glad that I decided to get some rest instead of pushing myself to work on that bag, because I've been waking up at like 7 in the morning, no matter what time I go to bed. We are currently at my clothing rack because I want to pull some more pieces to bring today. And I thought I would talk about what and why. So because I have more space, 10x10 and all, and like I mentioned yesterday, I'm definitely not going to be able to fill a 10x10 space at all, like volume wise, not volume, area wise, even perimeter wise. I do think I'll make the most of like the vertical space, like try to take up 10 feet wide worth of vertical space, which means I can take less things off of my clothing rack and lay that out on a table and put more actual clothes on the clothing rack. And this is what I'm currently thinking clothing wise. I can't lie, this is a little bit tricky for me because while not everything on this rack is perfect and I'm sure more things could go, some things I keep because they hold memories for me. Some things I keep because while I might not wear the piece anymore, I still want to be able to reference it for future pieces. This one's a good example of that. A pretty fine top. I just used a yarn that's a little bit too thick, but I really like this corset detail that I did in the back, so I'm not quite ready to part ways with it. Same with this top. I want to get rid of it so bad. But I feel like I want to keep it in order to like get this neckline right for a future version, once again with a thinner yarn. So on this other end we have stuff that's more free for me to potentially sell. The main things are this white skirt, very similar to the skirt I think I'm going to wear today. I can sell it as a size medium/large. It might be a little bit too small to like stretch for an extra large, but I'll also put the waist and hip measurement so people, you know, based on their own bodies can know if they could fit into that. Then I'm considering selling this whole set, but not as a set, just individual pieces. So this would be another skirt. While I love this skirt down, I don't really wear it anymore, so might do better in someone else's closet, and I feel like it's a nice crochet basic. Once again, this is like a medium large, maybe more medium than large, but could fit a large. Then I have my tied up cardigan. I love her so much. I want to bring her today. With none of this do I have expectations to sell, but I think clothing wise I just wanted to give more of my current aesthetic, so bringing some of these things will hopefully help people see my vision. So anyways, this is very cute. If it were to sell, I wouldn't be too devastated because I already have plans to remake it, and this is a simple enough design that I don't really need a sample in my stash to recreate. On a similar note, this is my first ever crochet maxi skirt that I made last year around this time. I do love it, but the proportions and the hips are a bit big for mine, so I could sell this as a large, extra large, with like anyone with hips up to like a size 45, which is nice because not something I could typically do, and has like some sort of stretch. So this, and then the cropped version of my tighter cardigan. Now this one I kind of want to keep because I do actually wear this one. I do. I might actually keep this. Yeah, I'm gonna keep that. I can't, me looking like a literal ghost right now. It's not my business. So yeah, I did consider putting up this one, which is my second version of my flower mesh cardigan, but it has no mesh. However, I plan on doing a rework with this and another set, and I would rather be able to use this yarn than make money from selling it potentially. And that's just something you have to know about yourself. Now, in terms of, well, I think that's pretty much it in terms of like things I can add that I would actually sell. Now, in terms of things that I want to bring so that I can show, I do want to bring, so yeah, alphabet soup cardigan wise, I can't decide between bringing my solid color or these more fun colors. Probably should go fun color just because I can bring my cropped NYGC cardigan in the pink. So this sleigh and then my purple one. These are all made to order. I'm not parting with my actual samples because I love and wear them all the time, and I would be devastated if anything happened to them. The only other thing that I can consider potentially bringing is eventually I'll probably bring my bikinis just as like a tease of what's to come, but I feel like we're still a little bit early for that, so maybe I'll do that next weekend because I don't know if I mentioned, but I'll be doing this market every weekend except for one in April. So we have lots of opportunities to showcase different things, and I feel like that should fill out my rack nicely, especially with me removing some of the bags off the rack to lay out on zip table. So I don't think I've ever showed this, so I thought I would just show some of the other top samples that I have for sale that are older designs. So this is my dainty bralette. I literally love her. I do have plans on making her again, once again in a thinner yarn, but I'm pretty much good on this pattern. Like, I don't need the physical top here in order to recreate it. I have it written down very clearly. Then I have this halter top sort of situation with a corset back. She slays in my opinion. Then we have this one shoulder top that I love. It has like ruche sides. She's very cute. We have my 4-in-1 indecisive top. The reason why it's called 4-in-1 is you can wear it as a halter neck, you can wear it as a one shoulder, you can wear it as a crossed like neck halter top, and then you can wear it as a tank top. And then lastly we have this top, which is definitely like my most like not my aesthetic top that I've ever made, but I really do like the back. It has like a not open but slightly exposed back, and I feel like it gives, you know, a variety of ages could maybe appreciate it. So I'm going to pack up all these clothes, probably eat something. I need to make sure that I grab a second tablecloth for the table that I'm going to have to get before we go. My mother is helping me out today. And yeah, this morning feels so wonderful. The past mornings, or the past 2 times I've done a market in the morning, I've been like really wanting to get more stuff finished. So having the freedom to be like, you know, I kind of have enough stuff for now. I'd rather just like nicely make sure everything's curated and good to go is nice. Oh, there is one more thing that I have to do, but we can do it together. Hold on. All right, so in my last video, someone recommended me 2 things. One, they recommended me to include pricing throughout my booth, which I agree with. I do, well, you guys can't see, all of the clothing and bags have hang tags on them that say the price and the size and how they need to be washed and all that. The accessories do not. So I will be using my chalkboard as like, I painted my nails yesterday and they're already chipping. Devastated. But anyways, I'll be using my chalkboard as like a big price display. I might fold up some cards to showcase the individual prices of products. Haven't quite gotten that far, but that's what I'm thinking. What I'm currently doing is, since I won't have my chalkboard that reads out my name, which in case you don't know, the name of my business is NYGC by Taylor, which stands for Not Your Grandma's Crochet. Well, thankfully no one has ever taken offense to me saying it's not your grandma's crochet. That is in fact my name, and I stand by it. I work very hard to not just modernize crochet, but create an aesthetic that I do feel like is a bit different than what's out there. So I'm standing 2 toes down. 2 toes? I hope I have more than 2. 10 toes down on Not Your Grandma's Crochet. And if you have a problem with that, this is not how I expected this to come. Anyways, my brother got me this letter board for Christmas quite a few years ago, and I didn't know what to do with it. But now I'm going to hopefully have enough letters. Oh, this actually has numbers too. I could do my pricing on this. Let's see. Okay, so I have it pretty much sorted out. I'm just trying to get the spacing a bit better so everything's not like right up on top of each other. But I actually like this idea. I feel like it's very clear and easy to read. Just need to make sure that everything is like really in there. And I do in fact have enough letters to accomplish what I want, I think. The only thing that has broken so far is this D. The like back pull of it broke off, but that's okay. So I'm gonna move this up, and I'm trying to have enough room so that I can also put the bag prices on here, just since those will also be on the table, even though, like I said, those will have individual price tags on each of the bags. Then in terms of like making a card of sorts, basically, for each of the items, I'm still thinking through what that'll look like. The timing of today is just working out perfectly. It's 9:29. I said I wanted to be heading downstairs for breakfast at 9:30. I just finished my price list, and I feel like it looks so good. It's reversed for me right now, but I think it should be readable for you guys. If not, I'll reverse this. But yeah, I really like it. I feel like it's very clear, easy to read. I like how big the numbers are. I like how nicely the white pops on the black, and I like how like sturdy this is. I am trying to think through where exactly I will put this, and I am going to need to rest something behind it so that it can like stand up nicely. But yeah, slay. The only other thing that I would like to potentially get done is those labels for the price labels to go out around the table. So I will brainstorm those while I'm eating breakfast, and I will see you in a bit. All right, it's 10:33. This is my OOTD wearing new NYGC swim, not released. And I have my big NYGC handbag holding yarn and most of my essentials. Now it's time to go because I'm a little bit behind schedule. It's a few hours after the market and I'm here to give you the recap, how much I paid and how much I made, except you guys already know I paid $0 for it. Well, anyways, the market went very well. I told you guys that I'd never been to this place, but I had passed it quite a few times because Moreland's a pretty popular road here in Atlanta. It's on like the east side of Atlanta. It's not at all walkable, but there's a lot of traffic from cars and stuff like that. Highlights. The event did an excellent job of making the atmosphere look like something that someone driving on the street would want to turn into. They had a bouncy house, they had a DJ blasting music. If you turned in, there was a petting zoo. If you walked up, they were doing face painting for kids. They had a guy making really cool balloon animals. He even made like a balloon Ariel, like the mermaid. I was like, okay, slay. I say that all to say that driving up, I was very impressed with everything that I could tell that they were doing in order to get people to organically decide to turn in and check everything out. And so it gave me like very positive energy mindset going in. So I think I mentioned that you do have the option to bring a tent, but I don't currently own a tent yet. I was considering purchasing a tent today, but I am not, and I'll tell you why. They did have some tents. Initially there wasn't one available, then there was one available, but it was in the very back corner right next to the bouncy house, and I just wasn't sure what the vibe was going to be, and it was also going to be a bit darker in that area, and I figured my crochet stuff would look better in the sunlight, so I opted to be more towards the front, like front center, and not have a tent. But the person next to me was more established. She had been doing these markets, not this market, but markets in general, for I think she said like 3-ish years. She like came with a tent, and so she was happy to share her shade with me and my mom whenever we were getting a bit hot, which was lovely. I also mentioned that this was a 10 by 10 space, so this morning we went and picked up my bigger table. And I'll post some videos here of like kind of how my setup looked, but I really liked my setup. I liked like the C shape. People really did take advantage of that, whereas I felt like sometimes with my just horizontal table next to clothing rack situation, people would look at the clothing rack, like maybe go through the clothing rack a little bit, and then they would just walk off. But with this, a lot of people would start at the clothing rack, then they would like kind of like snake their way through until they like got to me, or they would start with me, go to the clothing rack. You know, I could tell that they were just interacting with my stuff a bit more, which is definitely the goal. Another thing was it was very windy, super windy, to an annoying extent, if I'm being honest. Like my clothing rack kept falling over. Also, my chalkboard stand that says like Not Your Grandma's Crochet kept falling over, which was really annoying. So I ended up just putting it away, but because me and my mom were trying to figure out a way to have the clothing rack be more sturdy, we ended up dispersing all the items like throughout it. So instead of having all the cardigans together, all the tops together, and all the bags together, they were like all mixed in, and it ended up being a positive thing because it meant that when people went to the rack, they weren't just going straight to the cardigans. Like a lot of people actually took the time to like look through all the items, which is something that they weren't doing at my previous 2 markets. So that was definitely a hack. That was a slay, and I will definitely continue to, you know, mix things up as opposed to leaving it all. The reason why I did it initially leaving it all was, one, organization wise it just made sense, but also I just didn't know if the cardigans in their size would block from view the other stuff. But if it makes people actually like sort through the rack, then it's definitely ideal and better. Other highlights were that it was a lot of the same sort of situation where the traffic was not super crazy, but considering that there was no like walking traffic and all the traffic that came were people who like drove in from their cars, I was honestly pretty impressed with the people that were there, or the amount of people that were there. I was also pretty impressed with the variety of people that were there. I would definitely say that when I've done my markets, my past two at Krog Street, you definitely have more variety of different types of people, but there was a pretty solid variety, especially being in East Atlanta. It's definitely a lot more people who look like me, but interestingly enough, there was like a fair mix of people, which was very cool to me. It was very nice having like the DJ playing and stuff like that. That was keeping the vibes high. Oh, I got sidetracked. It was pretty similar in terms of people like, you know, looking at my stuff, complimenting, being very surprised that I crocheted everything, especially with my mom being there. A lot of people like look to her thinking she made it, and I'm like, no, everything was made by me. And it was also interesting that everything was made by me. I think I'll like touch on that a bit more later, but that's my sticky note that I want to talk about that. Another cool thing that happened was a person and her friend came, and I was like, she was like looking at me, like looking at my stuff, and she was like, wait, I know you, like I've seen your stuff before, I follow you on TikTok. And I was like, no, you're not saying that to me right now, oh my gosh, no. And it was just like the craziest idea in my head that someone who has only perceived me on the internet is now seeing me in the flesh. And I was like, yeah, well, like, thank you so much, like, it's nice to meet you. I did not catch your name, I wish I did. And I was like, oh, you know, like, I hope you enjoy getting to see my pieces in real life, like, you know, seeing the quality and everything. She didn't end up purchasing anything, but I did really appreciate that she took the time to like really look at things. She was like holding things out to her friend, and like it was very sweet and motivating, and also crazy. I'm going to be thinking about that. That's like the second time ever in my existence on the internet that somebody has done that, and shocking. But if you do ever see me, well, I might be super shocked, you know, do say hi. So anyways, I also ended up getting into conversations with people who were more so interested in commissions. 3 people in particular. I gave them my card, or they followed me on Instagram, because the fact of the matter is I can crochet everything. Well, my brand is definitely more focused around things that I want in my personal closet. That doesn't mean that should someone want to commission something that I can't do it. I could literally make anything, especially for the right price. But anyways, that was also cool. Someone did also ask about lessons. I don't know if I've talked about it here, but at my second market, someone asked me about lessons and actually followed up, and I have been teaching them. And so while it's still not something I'd be advertising on my social media by any means, if someone at a market who's in the Atlanta area wants to learn how to crochet or is willing to pay to learn how to crochet, I am happy to teach in person. It's actually been kind of a fun experience, but definitely not anything I'd want to like make into like my thing. Like, I still have no interest in doing tutorials and stuff like that, but I do like the more hands-on in-person sort of experience. So I was able to tell that person yes. Also, this cute little kid, she was with like her mom and her little sister. She had just got her face paint done. Did I mention there was face painting? Anyway, she had just got her face paint done, and she saw my booth, and she was like, oh my gosh, my aunt crocheted me a cardigan, which I was like, super slay that you little 6-year-old girl know what crochet is, like slay. And then her mom was like, ooh, like I've crocheted, like I'm not really too good, but I just made this blanket recently, blah blah blah. And then like it was just cute, like getting to interact with these like cute little kids. I will say the kids that were there, they were all quite cute, so maybe a bouncy house needs to be added to every single market if it's going to bring the cute kids out. It definitely added some entertainment, I can't lie. And anyways, what you guys want to know, did I in the end make a sale? And the answer is yes. I made one single sale. It was a girl and her mom, and the girl was like kind of a little bit younger than me, so like between 18 and 21, I would guess. And her mom and her had like looked at my booth, but then her mom had kind of walked away, and the girl kind of kept looking at the rack, and I was like, she's lingering, she definitely wants to get something. So then I think it started with her mom talking to me, and then they went to the rack, and then her mom left, and then she walked back over to me, and I was by the hair accessories, and she started asking me questions. She had natural hair, and I was like, oh, like I really like the headbands because, you know, it's nice for some back your edges and things like that. You can tie them real tight. Also with product buildup, or if you get them dirty, they're machine washable, so they're very slay. She was like, oh, like really, like okay, like let me get my mom, but I think I want like one. So she ended up buying one. She bought a white one which is my favorite color also. I feel like it's the most practical color for sure. And so I made $10.89. I definitely have like not actual mixed emotions, but I feel like I should feel mixed emotions about all of this. Like obviously I do these because I want to sell my things and sell them in person and stuff. But when I don't get sales, I don't feel disappointed or discouraged. I'm very confident in what I do and like my pieces. I know that they are quality, but I'm also aware that crochet as an aesthetic is not everyone's cup of tea. Not everyone looking at crochet sees the coolness and uniqueness about it, and definitely not everyone sees like the time commitment and value that's put into it. So when I'm at these things and I don't make sales, or like, you know, it's been hours and like nobody, or not hours, a quite long time and nobody's like come up to me, people are walking past, I just still feel content to be outside crocheting. If I wasn't able to crochet, I might, you know, have different feelings about it, but truly, especially with this being free, there's really no negatives to me. Like if I hadn't made that sale, I still would have left feeling very happy with everything. Some other highlights were the owner of the food hall, as well as like the, you know, the land basically. He was there with his family, I assume. And he like came up to me and was like, oh, so like what is all this? And I was like, oh, you know, gave him my spiel, crocheting for 8 years, like blah blah. He was like, oh cool, like I'm Hal, and like the place is called the Halidome. So I was like, oh, like of the Halidome? And he was like, yeah. He was like, you know, I've really love to support handcrafted, handmade small businesses. I'm so glad to be able to give you guys an opportunity to show your stuff, especially for free. I completely understand the disappointment and how hard it can be financially when you spend a lot of money to be at somewhere like this and you don't get any sales. So I'm just glad to like give you guys a platform that's for free. It will always be for free if you do outdoor vending. Indoor vending does cost a little bit of money, but he was like, outdoor vending will always be free. And that was just really kind to me that he did come up and like talk to me and, you know, say those very kind things. They also were giving out waters to the vendors throughout the market. Everything was very well branded. Like all the tents that they had pre-set up were branded with the food hall's name. They also had these really cute pink branded chairs. They just, you can see that there's a quality behind this place, and the fact that it's free, especially like hearing him talk about it, it's not free because they know, like it's not free because it's new, or it's not free because they're like, oh, like maybe we shouldn't charge for this. It's free because they are actively deciding not to charge for it. Like they're actively trying to give small business owners a little bit more comfort in stepping out and trying to sell our things, which is truly amazing, wonderful, and kind to me. Additionally, I met a very lovely, wonderful person who was like the table next to mine. She was also the only other person who didn't have a tent, and we were both like in the middle. And she first came up to me because she was interested in like a commission, and she was speaking very highly of my crochet, which I appreciated. But then my mom was like walking around, and this person does like tarot readings, but she also does just like general personal lifestyle betterment type stuff is the best way. She wasn't selling anything, she was just giving out like guides and tarot readings, and then you could like tip her, like buy her a coffee type vibe. And so my mom did one of the tarot readings, but she didn't like tell me like anything about it. And I've never done a tarot reading before, not because I have anything against it, but just never really had the opportunity for it. And so a little bit into the market, she comes up to me and she was like, hey, like, do you want to get your cards read? And I was like, okay, like, sure. And so she's doing it, and, you know, things were coming up about NYGC. She was like speaking a lot of life and light into me and my pursuit in this business, and was feeling like all the things that I've been like trying to build in myself. So it felt honestly quite encouraging to see the card saying the same thing. And then she pulled a card that she was like, oh, I'm so happy to see this. I was like, oh, and she was like, so this means you've been betrayed recently. And I was like, oh. So suddenly I'm crying. I don't talk too much about my personal life on here, and I don't plan on doing that, but just know that card hit home. It was as though God himself was like, like, it was like, wow. Yeah, I have been actually. Suddenly I'm in this green patch of grass crying. That's so silly, funny. And she was like, girl, like, just let it out. Like, you don't have to hold it in. And I'm boohooing. I was boohooing. So anyways, that was really just crazy. It did end up like being positive. And she was like, you just gotta let go of that betrayal, you know, light and love and all that sort of stuff. So that was a nice moment. And yeah, crazy stuff. If you haven't gotten a tarot reading, I highly suggest it, especially if you like feel like you're stepping into like a new space in your life. I don't know if I would want to do it if I was like actively going through things, because it might be too much emotionally, but if I know that I'm in the constant pursuit of betterness but there are still things going on, I think a tarot reading would be fun, funky, and fresh. Anyways, I feel like I'm yapping for 500,000 years, so let me land this plane a little bit. While I was sitting there, I was thinking a bit about this idea of being handmade and how handmade has so many different levels to it. Not saying there's anything wrong with that, but the difference between like a handmade jewelry item versus a handmade crochet situation. Let's say like someone's selling a ring and I'm selling a purse, and both those things cost, or let's go with a bandana for me. I'm selling a bandana, someone's selling a ring. Both those things cost $25, $26. For me, at pricing it at $25, I'm cutting it a bit because that bandana probably takes me about 3 hours, so I probably should be pricing it more so around $45, and that's not even really factoring in the cost of yarn, but the cost of yarn is so low that I'd rather do a higher factor of like my time versus, you get what I mean. However, for that ring person, her cost of materials is definitely more of a, her cost of materials theoretically is probably a little bit higher than how much time it took her. Not, I can't tell you how long it took her to make that ring, but let's say it took her 30 minutes to make that ring, and she was also doing like a $15 an hour, even a $20 an hour. So let's say for that ring she did $10 for labor, and let's say the materials itself cost her $10 and then her overhead was about $5. That's $25. Are you seeing like the difference there, you know? And there's nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with it at all. Please don't mistake me for saying that there's something wrong with those calculations, but it's just, it's interesting. I think especially selling like apparel and like having my cardigans there, I know how shocking it can be to see the pricing a cardigan for $275. Like, I know how shocking that is, but also I know how long it took me, and I know how long it will take me if someone wants it. And so I kind of just have to stand 10 toes down in that. And the girl who read my tarot cards literally said something about it. She was like, you have to know that like your price is your price. Like, the person who was meant to buy that thing will pay that price. You do not need to lower your prices for anybody. Like, your stuff is quality. You need to charge what you charge. And I was just really appreciative of that. I don't ever think like when someone doesn't buy my stuff because it's too much, it doesn't really, I'm very accepting of it because I completely understand. It doesn't, like, I don't really think twice about it is the best way to put it, but it does, there's always those moments where I just wish that there was a way for things to be more aligned with how people imagine it to be. But then at the same time, it's like people are so disillusioned by like the reality of how much it takes, literally takes labor-wise, to create any piece of garment. Okay, let's land this plane. overall, very good experience for the first one. I'm looking forward to the future of continuing to participate with this market. That being said, I am supposed to be doing it again tomorrow. There is a chance for rain, and because I didn't meet what I was hoping to make, I'm not going to go out and buy a tent, especially because the ones next weekend, the weather's supposed to be really good. If the weather is going to be also a little bit for that, maybe I would, but I'm not going to use my $10 to spend on a tent. So my plan is, well, what am I trying to say? They're supposed to be messaging us. Hello? They're going to be messaging us in the morning if they are continuing with the market tomorrow, depending on the rain situation. If they do decide to continue with the market, I will probably still do it. I will just try to get there very early to try to get one of the tents that they already have sort of set up. If I can't get a tent, I don't know. We'll have to see. So I will keep you updated. I will let you know tomorrow whether it's a yay or a nay in terms of a market. And yeah, it's time for me to drink the coffee that has been waiting for me downstairs for literally an hour. Good morning, girlies. It's the next day. It's currently 9:50 a.m. I got an email this morning from my market saying that it was canceled because it is supposed to be thunderstorming later, and honestly, I'm not mad about it at all. I will be there next weekend, and the weather is supposed to be so much better next weekend, so I'm very happy to have a calm, cool, collected day in the house crocheting.